candy? Want candy now?
What's going on, everybody? Nazdarachi coming back at you again with another episode of Relic Review. We're covering the second banner of the Family Secrets Final Fantasy Tactics event today. Now with that, they did launch the second multiplayer Conquest raid dungeon. It's going to be mostly magic based, so you're going to want to bring a lot of damage mitigation as well. Petrify resist, confuse resist are worth bringing as well. They will help you out significantly in the battle. And as well, remember that the boss's adds are immune to Holy, but you don't actually have to kill them to win, you just have to kill the main boss, but I'll leave that up to you guys to figure out how to do. Notably, the second difficulty on the Conquest Raid Dungeon has been bumped up to 220. So instead of 160-200, we're getting 160-220 now, which is pretty cool. We get a little bit of added difficulty there. Nice little touch as things get more complicated as the game progresses. So as well, we are on the second banner of the Final Fantasy Tactics event now. The items here are mostly going to be centered around Thunder God Cid, who is a pretty good character. His OSB is top notch, and I enjoy him. He's a cool looking sprite, everything about him is pretty sweet. Saintly Excalibur here is his main relic. It's the feature highlight on the banner here. 168 attack OSB, small boost to holy damage, always in effect, and your synergy bonus, small chance to instantly KO, is pretty negligible. Not going to help you out versus bosses or advanced dungeons. Your Overstrike here, Thunder God, massive physical holy and lightning damage to one target, and grant the user Thunder God's might, temporarily reducing the delay of the user's actions. This Overstrike does, however, trigger after a long delay, much longer than other OSBs, but you can kind of mitigate that time with, for example, his Super Soul Break on this banner. So there are kind of ways around that. Overall, this is a very good Overstrike Soul Break, does lots of damage, and the Thunder God's might buff that it gives you is pretty sweet. It stacks really well with Full Charge or Omega Drive, other offensive abilities, making Orlando able to pump out some really good DPS here. He's also a very good Spellblade and a Knight as well. So not much to really talk else on that one. Great relic, definitely want it. Your chance of pulling it is about 1.29% on average. Just a rough estimate based off of some data mined from the game here. Moving forward, we have the Stone Shooter. It's a burst soul break for Mustadio here, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Gun, 121 attack, no other stats, no bonus effects. It is a ranged weapon, so it could be useful, especially for synergy. Burst soul break, sharp shot spray, 8 ranged physical attacks to random targets, temporarily lower their attack and magic a large amount, and haste burst mode to the user. So on entry, it's sad that it doesn't have any elemental effects attached to it. It's only physical and random targets, so that kind of weighs against this relic, but at least there are 8 attacks. The debuffs here are pretty good as well. Large debuffs and attack and magic is going to help you out, versatility speaking, in either attack magic or a hybrid dungeon. And your burst abilities here, quick trigger, 2 ranged physical attacks to one target, and remove the delay from the machinist abilities for 2 turns. Pretty situational depending on what you bring with him, but they just added that new machinist ability that hits, I believe, 6 times or 8 times? The 5-star ability that hits multiple times as well. So using this Burst Command 1 will stack with his potential 5-star abilities, as well as with recasting the Burst Command 1 again. And Aegis Crush support, range physical damage to one target, and lower its defense a large amount, which a single ID defense break large amount is good, and it will complement the attack and magic debuffs on the soul break itself, as well as the fact that most everything here is ranged. It's reasonably good. He is obviously going to be your support debuffing character, and Rams is going to be your support buffing character. So with that being said, I don't particularly want this item. I have his other gun already, but it would not hurt me. I would not be upset if I drew it. And your chances of drawing the Stone Shooter are roughly 1% even, which is pretty standard for BSB relics. Next up here we have the Battle Bamboo. It is a rod, I guess you could say, or plant for Marak here. Attack 55, magic 132, mind 66, and no bonus effects. Your Birth, Soul Break, Hell's Wrath, 8 magic, lightning, and dark attacks to random targets, temporarily lower their magic and resistance a large amount, and grant haste and burst mode to the user. This will be great if you're using it against a magic-themed enemy, or if you are using a mage party. The resistance break and magic and resistance is a fairly unique ID, so it'll stack pretty well. Haste burst mode to the user, nothing new there. Your burst abilities, Lightning Mark, 4 magic, lightning, and dark attacks to one target, reduce delay before hitting. It's a black magic ability. And Thunder Break, 2 magic, lightning, and dark attacks to all targets, reduce delay before hitting. So it is kind of sad that the second command here is not a bargain to up the stats a little bit. It trades that out for just all over AoE, reduced delay, and reduced delay on the first ability. So reasonable DPS, but you're going to have to get an additional buff from elsewhere, such as Onion Knight, or potentially Ramses USB stacking with Onion Knight. And that might help compensate, get you to soft cap there. But again, it's missing a bargain, but it does have reduced cast time. So not as good as Cid Reigns or Desh BSBs, but still not as bad as some other Black Mage BSBs that we've seen so far. The debuffs here are going to be about minus 40%, and it doesn't really compare to Fujin's BSB if you do have it. So those are all things to keep in mind. However, for synergy, and if you're using this mage as your synergy mage for Cid missions, it's definitely not a terrible item, mainly because of the reduced delay. That's going to help you out the most here in terms of dealing as much damage as possible. And that's about all I have to say about this piece of bamboo here. Definitely would rather skip this item in lieu of potentially Orlando's Cloak right there, but if I get it, I'll find a way to make use of it, I suppose. Probably later on down the road, maybe. Your chances of drawing this battle bamboo right here are 0.86%, so hopefully I can miss that one, even though I don't really plan on doing a huge draw on this banner anyway. Next up, we have the item that I most want on the banner here, Orlando's Cloak, Final Fantasy Tactics. Light armor, 17 attack, 112, 112 on your defense resistance, and no bonus effects. The defense and resistance are minus 1 tick from what we normally see on light armors. And it's interesting that this is a cloak, but it's not actually labeled as a cloak, it's just light armor. But that aside, Burst Soulbreak Swordplay, deal 10 physical, holy, and dark attacks to random targets with a high chance to instantly KO them. Raise the user's attack and defense a moderate amount, and grant haste burst mode to the user. So, on entry, the random targets is a little painful, but we do have 10 physical, holy, and dark attacks. That's going to be really useful right there, especially in the future if you're team building down the road. This Burst Soulbreak right here would play very nicely with Cloud's USB for a lot of damage. The instant KO, not really useful at all. We've kind of covered this a few times, where instant KO is definitely toned down in boss fights and higher difficulty situations, so nothing great there. Now, the attack and defense raise is pretty good as well. That's going to boost you up here, 30% attack and 50% defense. So on entry, we do have a pretty good soul break here. Definitely want this relic right here if I could get my hands on it. Burst abilities, Steely Swordplay, 4 physical holy, non-elemental attacks to one target, temporarily lower its attack and defense a small amount, triggers after a long and delay. This is a pretty stackable break. Small amount attack and defense will stack with a lot of other breaks in the game, and he's not even a support style character, so that's pretty useful right there. Dark Swordplay, 2 physical dark and non-elemental attacks to one target, healing the user for a portion of the damage dealt. Now both of these abilities are night and they trigger after a long delay, so using something like his SSB, which removes delay, or after you use his OSB, teaming this up with Thunder God would be something that would help you out pretty well. Again, the long delay trigger and the instant KO is the worst part about this BSB, but it is a very good BSB overall. If you do manage to pull Orlando's OSB by itself and none of his other relics, it is fully functional by itself. You can just build up with Life Siphon or Dr. Mog's Teachings, whatever, what have you, use it, and then you get the Thunder God buff. So if you happen to get just the OSB, don't be sad, and it seems like your chances of pulling it are about 0.86%, which is quite sad. Hopefully I can get lucky. Super Soulbreak Sword of Saints here. It is a Chaos Blade for Orlando, 136 attack, no bonus effects. So really you're equipping this just to learn the Soulbreak and then potentially switch over to hopefully one of his other relics that you have, like his OSB, really the only one. Sword of Saints, Instantly deal 6 physical, holy, and lightning attacks to all targets, and remove the delay from the user's next action for 2 turns. This is a great setup move right here. The removing of the delay and the instant attacks are both good. The attacks themselves have dual elements attached to them, and they're physical as well. So great SSB right here. If you have some of Orlando's other relics, it becomes even more useful. So just by itself, you can combo this with like Full Charge or a Mega Drive, something like that, and it would be pretty useful. Now what you'd want to ideally do is have Dr. Mog's Teachings or Mako Might and combo in to one of his other moves, build up 2 gauges of Soul Break, then hit with the Super Soul Break for the delay reduction. Then you can combo that into either his BSB and some 1 BSB command, or the OSB itself, which will then give you Thunder God's Might, which will continue to remove your delay. So, Orlando is a really versatile, really good DPS character. I honestly wouldn't mind pulling this item either because I already have his OSB, so it would stack quite nicely with that. And your chance to pull it is looking like 1.72%, roughly. Again, none of these percents are 100% accurate, they're just based off some data mining. Next up, we have Super Soul Break Nether Ashura Headband. Qualifies as a hat, 0 attack, 38 magic, defense 85, 124 resistance, and 27 mind, so it will benefit a variety of characters that wear it for synergy. No bonus effects, and your Super Soul Break, the Nether Ashura, 6 magic, fire, and dark attacks to all targets, and temporarily lower their attack and resistance a large amount. This is another really unique debuff right here. The attack and resistance is going to favor a physical-based dungeon and you using a mage-based team. So it's going to weaken them to your black magic attacks, and then it's going to prevent them from outputting as much physical damage. So, in that situation, this is a pretty good Super Soul Break, mostly for the break that's really unique there, stacks really well. And then if you're not in a situation where these 2 breaks are going to help you, then you probably won't even be bringing this character anyway. So that's pretty much all I have to say on that one. It does stack pretty well with what he's got going on and with some of the other breaks on this banner here. Looks like you have about a 2.44% chance to pull it. Honestly, I really only want the Cid BSB, so if I can skip everything else, I would not be sad. And next up here we have the Mithril Gun. This is an item I already have from Mustadio. Attack 118, no other stats. Your synergy bonus is pretty much non-existent. A small chance to instantly KO, synergy only. Sadly, that's not super useful except for trash mobs. Super Soul Break here, Heart Piercer. It is a Pentabreak and 5 ranged physical attacks to all targets. So you are getting that Pentabreak, very similar to Barrett's SSB, if you're familiar with that one, where you get the Pentabreak and some ranged attacks all over the place. So nothing too crazy going on. It is definitely useful in terms of stackability. His BSB probably a little bit better, but again, this is something that will help you out in the future when the wall meta starts to die out in lieu of stacking breaks and buffs. So with that being said, you have about a 2.08% chance to pull this Mithril Gun right here. It would be a dupe for me, so hopefully I can avoid it like the plague. Next up here we have Gafgarian Shell, heavy armor, 17 attack, 138 defense, 94 resistance, no other stats, and you get a minor dark resistance always in effect. Could be useful for certain events. Now your Super Soul Break Duskblade, 4 physical dark and non-elemental attacks to all targets, and restore 1 ability use to each ally. Personally, I don't see you using this one very often unless it's the only Soul Break you have for Gafgarian. It reminds me of Vanille's Super Soul Break almost, but instead it does little damage instead of healing. The restore 1 ability use can come in handy, I suppose, in like a Torment dungeon or something like that, where your hones are stretched to the max. But again, referring back to Vanille's Super Soul Break, I have her BSB and her USB, so I pretty much never use this move right here for Vanille that restores the ability uses, and I'm going to assume that it's going to be very similar for Gafgarian here. If you have some of his other soul breaks in general, this one might fall by the wayside. But with that being said, I guess under the certain circumstances, the ability use restore can be kind of helpful. Something I'm hoping to avoid here pretty heavily. Don't want this one. Got 2.87% chance to pull it, it seems here. And I'm not going to cover the Grand Armor. It was on Banner 1, so if you didn't see my Banner 1 episode, you can go check that out. The Grand Armor Tailwind can be a useful secondary heal, especially because your only healer in this realm is really Ovelia, or I guess Rafa if you're using her as a secondary healer also. So the Grand Armor can come in handy, but by itself, it is nothing super special. Just kind of a useful heal. So, do a 100 gem draw here, see if we get anything nice. Cross your fingers we get TG Cid BSB here. Oh my god. I would have to put up a reaction vid if I got that. No, we got that same staff that we always get. I always get this 3-star staff right here. I don't know why. I don't like that staff. So, I only have 63 Mithril. Now, looking forward, we have a lot of good stuff on the horizon. Obviously, coming up here soon, we're going to have a Final Fantasy IV banner that's going to have Kane's OSB on it. As well, we're going to have a Final Fantasy VIII banner that's got Squall's BSB 2 on it, which is going to stack amazingly well with Cloud's USB also. Let's see, moving forward even a little further past that, we have a Final Fantasy X banner that's got a BSB for Lulu and as well Yuna's USB. And after that, there's a Final Fantasy V banner that is giving Xdeath a BSB. So that's all stuff I'm really interested in drawing down the line. So I'm not going to do a full draw here. Just throwing out some of those future banners just to let you guys know. That's kind of what I'm planning for. Those are the ones that I'm really looking forward to, as well as Cloud's USB and Extreme Fest. So I don't really expect much out of anything here. Be nice though. Oh, we got something. Oh lord, cross your fingers. Not Mustadio. Dang. Got the Grand Armor. Alright, well, I only have Shout for Ramza, so this will actually give him some more versatility there. Don't really need it, but that's all I can really afford to spend on this banner here. Still got something reasonably good, but not something that I'm going to use very often. Anyway guys, I hope you really enjoyed this episode of Relic Review. If you haven't already, sub the channel. There'll be tons more Final Fantasy Record Keepers, Dokkan Battle, some other AAA console games coming out, streams as well. So go on and give a follow if you like the content. If not, don't feel bad, I don't. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day, and this is Nazdarachi. I will catch you next time. Have a good one. Peace out, you guys.